Hi, my name is Michel Jean-Baptiste from Foratech Environnment S.A. I'm a well driller contracting company in Haiti, and my presentation today will be about a lack of regulation in Haiti that is leading to a devastating effect on the nation's groundwater system. Haiti is a country situated in the Caribbean Sea, an island nation next to them that shares the island of Hispaniola with the Dominican Republic, east of Cuba. Haiti has areas of 27,750 square kilometers, a population estimated at about 11 million people. It's a fairly young nation because the estimation is about 50% of the population is below 30. We have serious problem in Haiti in terms of weakness of government and corruption. Due to that weakness of government and corruption and also the poverty level in the country, there's a lot of NGOs that are established in Haiti. A lot of them have been established for the past few years, since after the earthquake of 2012. And some of them, like CARE and Red Cross, have been there for the past 30 years about. Haiti has different type of resources which are not very, there's not a lot of numbers in terms of that lately due to the all type of problems that we have. But we do have a great water resource, and about 90% of the population gets its potable water from springs and wells drilled throughout the country. Those numbers are based on the World Health Organization and UNICEF. So this slide, it's explained a little bit the groundwater situation of Haiti in terms of what is available, where those groundwater aquifers are situated in an hydrogeological standpoint, and what's the population density and population quantity of people that live in those around those hydrogeological environments. So as you can see in this table, the first line there, we have about 7,215 kilometers square of alluvial aquifer, about 26% of the aquifer, and we have the about 2.4 million people living around the alluvial aquifer, etc. As you go down, you can see the area covered by these aquifers and the population estimated to live around those aquifers. So the highest one is the interior sedimentary type of hydrogeological formation, where 3.6 million people live on that area. Now, this table shows the numbers of the groundwater usage, renewability, and what is available in terms of groundwater development, what's going on. The first line shows the current situation of Haiti. It is estimated that we have 2.1 cubic kilometer per year of recharge of groundwater, about 0.98 cubic kilometers per year is being abstracted from the aquifers, which leaves about 1.12 cubic kilometers a year available of groundwater, which shows a groundwater development of 0.46. Now, one important comparison that I like to make is in terms of the poverty of Haiti compared to next door, which is the Dominican Republic, which is a country that is way more developed than us. In 2013, the GDP of Haiti was estimated at to be $13.42 billion. And in that same 2013, the GDP of the Dominican Republic is estimated to be $101 billion. So you see the big difference in the GDP there. So the Dominican Republic is a country that is more developed and is using more, has needs more water to work, if I can say it that way. So technically, when we compare what we have in Haiti and we put the Dominican metrics to it, when we make that type of similar comparison, we still have that 2.1 cubic kilometer of renewable water per year. That would be, if we were at the same level of Dominican Republic right now, we would be withdrawing about 2.05 cubic kilometer per year of that groundwater, leaving only zero point zero 0.05 of the groundwater available for a groundwater development of 0.97. If we project 200 to 250, 2000, excuse me, 2000, the year 2050, as we are now, the abstracted water would go up to 1.28 cubic kilometers per year, the leaving about 0.82 cubic kilometer per year available, and the groundwater development would go from zero point 0.46 to 0.61. If we would develop the country would come out of its poverty and we would have a lot of development going on, economical, social, political, and everything. Those numbers would have put us in the red in terms of availability and usability. So we would be exploring 0.56 cubic kilometer per year more than we have available, which would not be that great of a problem the if there's a good water resources management in place. Let's go to the actual problem, that the threats to the groundwater system in Haiti. We have a few of them. We have the major one, and I will be talking about this for the rest of the presentation. The major one is the lack of policy and regulation. The lack of policy and regulation of the groundwater system leads to all the other problems that we are having now. The overexploitation of some of the aquifers, which causes a saltwater intrusion. The reduced recharge, because we have a major problem with deforestation, because the population in the rural areas, they don't have the means to have a decent crops or decent jobs, so they resort to the deforestation to make charcoal from wood. And due to that deforestation, the recharge of the groundwater has been reduced by 38% since the early 1900s, from 3.36 billion cubic meters per year to about 2.1 billion cubic meters per year. And the other factor is contamination. Now, lack of policies and regulations. As I said, I will be talking about this for the rest of the presentation. There's no existent water policy right now. We don't. There's not even enough data to know exactly what the water resources of Haiti are as of now. All those numbers that I've been presenting are based on old studies or estimations from different private hydrogeologists, a lot of them foreigners, that have been doing So as for the overexploitation of the aquifer, which is one of the problems, and this is a map of the Plaine du Cul-de-Sac. When you look at to the east, there's the ocean, and this area is potentially where all the water that is being distributed by DNPA, by the National Directorate of Potable Groundwater, is being pumped from. And also, since the water distribution networks are not functioning as they should be and are even not existent in certain areas of the metro area, there's a big business that is water trucking. So people, a bunch of little companies have a few wells in the Plaine du Cul-de-Sac where they fill all day long, all night long, water trucks to deliver to people to different type of property, domestic, commercial, industries, et cetera, et cetera. So most of the water that is being used in the metro area of Port-au-Prince is being pumped from that aquifer. So over the past years, what we've seen a beginning of a saline intrusion. To give you an idea of how much water is being pumped, I know of one water truck company pumping about 600,000 gallons per day, and he's one of the small ones. There are also bottling plants in that same area that are pumping above 2 million gallons per day for their needs. And like I said, there's no policies to see how these guys are pumping it, how to regulate it. So they're just pumping and pumping and pumping without even knowing the side effects of that exploitation. So from the past 7 years, from some data I was able to collect from clients and colleagues that are running bottling plants in the area, we've seen the total dissolved solid in that water go from 600 milligram per liter to about 1200 milligram per liter in over 20 years. And for the next 20 years, it's going to get worse, and that water might not be even be able, they might not be able to use it anymore if no management is imposed on that. This is a picture of an disabled India Mark pump, and I will discuss that in the coming slides. Now, NGOs, or like I said earlier in the presentation, NGOs are all over Haiti, and I'm not against them at all because they do a lot of good work, but sometimes we feel that they, due to the lack of regulations and policies, again, there's no oversight on what they're doing. What I'm most familiar with is their WASH program, which is the Water and Sanitation and Hygiene program. The pros that I see in their program is that they provide water access to population in need, because some people are in remote areas where they have no access to water. So usually the women and children have to go and walk kilometers to get water and to get back home. So the children at the same time, they cannot go to school, and the women have an enormous workload. So with the NGOs trying to provide water access to the population in those rural areas, either by catching springs or by building rainwater collection system or by drilling wells, they reduce the workload of women and children, and also they reduce exposure to waterborne disease. Reduce in quotes, because I will explain later that the methodology that they use for certain water access point, one I'm more familiar with is the the wells. Sometimes they don't do it in the according to the norms that they should be done. The cons is lack of their staff knowledge in well drilling, for example. They base their contract attribution based on price and not the technical knowledge. And I say corruption because a lot of times they have employees that solicitate bribe from contractors so they can provide the contract without making sure that the contractor can do the work that they're being paid to do. So the other thing is there's no interagency coordination. So NGOA might be planning on doing a well on this side of the street, and NGOB wants to do a well on the other side of the street. Sometimes you don't need two well across from each other. Sometimes it is good because according to DINAPA, one hand pump should be for 500 people. So if you have a population of 1,000, you might need two pump right across from the other. But sometimes you have less than 500 people in the area, so two wells is a waste of money. And the NGOs don't talk to each other to know, okay, we're working in the same area. What are you doing? This is what I'm doing. Let's plan together. You'll cover this area. I'll cover this area. So a lot of times they don't do that, and they end up duplicating their work, which is a waste of funds technically. And also, a lot of NGOs, they go and build water access and they have no sustainability project for it. They just go to build a well and they move on. They don't care what happens to that well within a year or two. They just move on. And that's a bad thing because, for example, when you install an Indian mark, the lifetime of an Indian mark without any maintenance is about 2 years. So they build a well, they spend a few $1,000s campaigning to build 10, 15 wells in certain areas, and then 2 years later you go back and there's probably 50% or more of those wells that are not working anymore because there was no sustainability project to get that thing, to keep that well running and to accommodate the population in the best way. A good approach that an NGO has used and that worked is Haiti Outreach. Haiti Outreach, I have no affiliation with them. These guys have their own rig. They drill their own well, but they've been doing such a good job in the past few years that they weren't mentioning for as an example. We don't have. I don't work for them. They don't work for me. We just have a professional relationship. We share information when needed, etc., etc. So, Haiti Outreach is an NGO based in Pignon in the northeast of Haiti, and it was established in 1997. They provide support in different sectors such as the WASH, education, microfinance, habitat. You can check out their website if you need more information. They have a community management model system that is based on authority, responsibility, accountability, and transparency. So once they go in an area, they want those principles to be in the community so everybody know what's going on. So the community, their process is the community submits a letter to Haiti Outreach requesting for a well or whatever access point that they need. Haiti Outreach makes sure that there's a local official, a mayor, or something, a local official that is an elected official that is part of the process. Then they get in touch with the DINAPA representative in the area, inform them of the program, and includes them in the process as they receive progress report as needed. The final and good point is they form a water committee via election at a public meeting. So the community takes charge of their responsibility of the water access. So the committee established their own rules of management and function of the water source. No outsider will tell them how to run their water point. So they decide the hours of operation. They decide the cost of subscription per household or per bucket of water, which is a very important thing. I know a lot of people that think that water should be free, but water cannot be free because if the pump breaks down, you need funds to repair it, and especially in poor communities, money is hard to come by. So they need to have a regular system where they pay for the water that they use. That way they don't waste it, and as well, there are funds available for the well. They establish their rule of conduct. They elect the person responsible for the collection of the money. They determine the sanction for the misuse of the water source. They decide the meeting location and date for the committee. They process the process of the election, and they designate someone for cleaning and inspecting the water source to make sure that everything is good and running. Because another thing, in rural areas we have a lot of dirt roads. That apron where the hand pump is needs to be clean. Those are the numbers of Haiti Outreach. Technically, they have, over the past 10 years, where they established those communities in those communities, 90% of the wells are still working, compared to other places where after 2 years, most of the wells are non-functional. So, in conclusion, we need new studies to confirm the water resources estimate and secure the health and economical development of the population. Meaning that then you will need the water policies and regulation to ensure the security of the water resource management and the water resource management. And to do that, you would need the government to focus and to focus efforts on strengthening the sector, creating and enforcing all regulation. However, I think it is a big stretch to get there because the way the country is going right now. And I think the private sector, myself and some other colleague hydrogeologists, we're currently trying to work on different things to see how we can start to prepare these documents, start to prepare certain strategies, so when we think the government has the will of, or has the will of going forward, we can propose ready documents commented by different hydrologists from Haiti and from internationally. You can contact me if you have any questions via email. I will send all my information will be posted, and I'm available for any additional question or information you may need. Thank you very much. Hope we'll have another presentation soon.